82 years ago, the First Christian and Missionary Alliance Church in Regina was born in the hearts of a few key families in downtown Regina. Tracing our roots to that early church, we desire to continue to develop that early vision for Regina. The Living Hope congregation, over the past 10 years, has been becoming, by God's design, a church located in Southeast Regina's newest neighborhood that is committed to developing Christ followers who have a passion to live out and share the good news. Now it is time for us to finish what we've started here at this site in order to reshape our ministries as we become a church that increasingly serves the city through an attractive and functional facility.
This rock has become an interesting point of reference since I got here in September 2001. The church began here in March 2001, but the rock has sort of always been here. Looking southeast, it's nothing but big sky and horizon, and again, there's still nothing out there. It's still open field right now, but south and north, we all know how it's filling in. I think about the people that moved here in March of 2001, and kind of, why are we facing east? Why are we facing nothing? Or, as it turns out, why are we facing what's going to be the main intersection in the creeks and the greens, and what's going to be the place for what they're projecting to be 7,000 to 8,000 people in this area? We're facing the main intersection. I don't know that the planners of the church and the planners of the way the building was going to be set really realized how significant that was, but in many ways we are looking at and being a part of faith of people a number of years ago, and now we can see kind of how it's coming to pass. We've said about the church, when you look at the church, when you Google in on the church, there's a couple of ways to look at the roof of the church. In one way, it's an arrow that points us back to Regina, reminds us of we are part of the city of Regina. We have historically been part of the city of Regina. In other ways, if you look at the sides of the church and the wings of the church, it's like arms open wide, and it's a welcoming posture. I believe it's in the book of Isaiah where God says, all day long I hold out my arms. And so in some ways, Living Hope is a church that is opening its arms by its architecture, by its structure, but also by its location. Arms open wide to the main intersection. They've got estimates on the kind of traffic that will be traveling Arcola and Chukka Boulevard, and thousands of people every day. So in many ways, faith that was expressed 11 plus years ago is now only coming to be seen. How actually is that coming into play? Well, for the last year, almost every time we come out here, every morning you come out to work, it's like something different has happened.
It's an adventure.
It is an adventure.
We've got houses. I keep hearing about families from our church moving into the communities right around us, into the greens, into the creeks, and making a difference. And just so excited about this. This idea of being missional and saying, wherever my community is, that's where I'm gonna establish the church there. I'm gonna move into a community so that I can go and share Christ with my neighbors around there. And maybe I'm putting words in the people that are living there, but I hope that's what they're planning to do, because that's why Brent and I moved into the greens, was because we want to live where we're going to minister. We want to be into people's lives and sharing Christ with them. We see that Jesus in the New Testament he developed friendships with everyone around him. And even if you're in a community, you don't have to move to creeks to greens to be a part of this. You just have to get to know your neighbors right around it and share your life. Have them into your home. That's one of the biggest things, is how do you know if someone's a friend? They've been in your house, right? Because we don't just invite anybody into our house. We invite our friends into our house. And so make friendships with people who are far from God and invite them into our house. We want to be a city church, but we also want to be a community church.
No, I think the first thing I think of, because it's about Sundays in here and an auditorium, a finished auditorium, but the auditorium is much more than Sundays in terms of the east end of the city. There is no other place east of Albert Street that has an auditorium as large as this that could be used for a variety of things that can happen during the weekdays.
For me, when I think about finishing this place, I actually think about after being finished. What it means after that, because when I became a pastor, I didn't want to be about building a building. I wanted to be about seeing changed lives and seeing people come to Christ. And so when I see this space and I see all the potential in this space, I see it being well used.
Well, we do a lot of work around here, and people spend $75,000 to $100,000 just creating a beautiful oasis in their yard. And really that oasis is for rest and relaxation. And I look at this place and I say, we have such potential to do so much more. If people are willing to spend that kind of money on a yard, how much more should we be willing to put into this to bring life and hope to people? A lasting, living hope, and a lasting, just that joy that comes despite all the circumstances of life. When life is good and when life is bad, you have that rock in Jesus Christ that you can hang on to. And so I see this as just potential. Potential for bringing life and hope to a hurting world and a hurting community.
There's huge potential too for this space for people who already call Living Hope home, because they're going to come and we want to see people equipped, right? To go out, walk across the street, walk across the city, wherever, their workplace, wherever they are, and reach into the Whitmore Parks, the Uplands, the Rosemonts, wherever they are in the city, not just the creeks and the greens, it's about a city. And so I see this as, a beachhead in the east end of the city, right? Where Christ is going to do incredible things in this city through the people that are already part of Living Hope and through the people who are going to come that are part of the creeks and the greens. Wherever they are in Regina, this is a city church, and we want to see the city change.
And Jesus said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve.
That's right.
And so we have an opportunity with our facility, with a finished facility, to serve this community in ways that we can't even dream or imagine.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. We're not here to be served, we're here to serve and to use our facility and the resources God's given us to serve for so many different outreach opportunities. They're not outreach, just opportunities to serve people. Just love people.
We've been here so long and now things are happening around us. It pushes us to think about, okay, we can sell the land. The land has viability and market value now that it didn't have before. And so all that kind of feeds why now is the right time. Not just this space. This space is part of it, but there's so much more to this facility, so much more to this area.
I can't wait to see a recital up there. A dance recital or a music recital, because then all of a sudden all these people who are far from God are coming to church to hear their kid on the stage or see their kid dance, and it takes that mystery of what's in that building. It takes some of that discomfort of, I've never walked in a church building before. I can't wait to see the city use our stage. And it gives us, the chance too, we've talked about this, that freeing up the gym and freeing up that whole wing on a Sunday morning allows us, we could start a third church in this building. We already got 2 churches going with the Filipino and with Living Hope, and now we could say, how can we bless the city some more? Do we need another demographic church? Do we need something else? And how can we plant another church in the city and multiply the doors to the kingdom?
And as much as we had certain expectations when we moved here for parking and availability, how much was there? And now the houses are going, which changes everything. All of a sudden, now we have neighbors, we have friends around us, and it changes everything. So now is the time.
And realistically, yes, it's a big dollar figure that's going to be attached to it, but really when you put it in perspective, if you were to walk around Wascana View, the creeks and the greens and stuff, I bet you would find 5 to 8 families would carry as much debt load as it'll take to finish this. And we've got way more than 5 to 8 families. And so really, it sounds like a lot of money, but I think it's doable.
Well, here we are standing in the area that will eventually be the lobby, the first place people come as they come through the front doors. And this wall was put up a number of years ago. It is actually where the outside edge of the auditorium of the sanctuary will be along this track. When we put up the wall, I talked to Amanda Eldred, the chair of our missions team, about doing something with this wall that gave us a sense of a global perspective. And so we labeled it Living Hope for the World, and Amanda put up maps of the various continents. Here we are, Silk Road, Asian Spice area, just to remind us of our global responsibility. Not just our global responsibility, but global has been in our DNA from the very beginning, back to the Tabernacle days, back to the Hillsdale days. The first Chinese Alliance Church in Canada came out of our DNA, came out of the Tab, came out of Hillsdale. And then Filipino church came out of Hillsdale in the late 80s. And so not only Living Hope for the World, Living Hope for the World in Regina, and some pretty significant markers. The Chinese Alliance Church was the first Chinese Alliance Church in Canada and kind of set the pace for the growth of Alliance Chinese churches across Canada. So this is a pretty significant wall, not only for what it tells us about our future and greeting people and welcoming people here to Living Hope Alliance Church, but also people realizing where we've come from and where we're going. And it's not just about Regina, it's not just about Living Hope here in the east end of the city, but it is truly and ultimately, in God's purposes and God's plan, living hope for the world.